What is up, guys, and welcome to another video. And it has been a hot minute since I've done a couple of things. One, make a video. Two, make a video inside the car, I think, driving. So really today's video is just going to be really just my experience that I've had with the car. And yeah, pretty much how it still is today. I've had this thing, we're approaching 60,000 miles now. So I'm probably going to title this 60,000 mile review. We're really at 59,589 miles, but I'm sure by the time this actually gets posted and edited and all that good stuff, whenever I have time, we'll probably be at 60 miles or 60,000 miles by then. So yeah, let's go ahead and dive into this video. So first things first, if you're watching this video, there's probably a couple of different reasons why you're watching. One, you probably have been watching the channel for a while and just following me and my car and just what I've been doing with it. And thank you a lot for that if you are in this situation. Option B, which maybe this is you are considering buying one of these, or you own one yourself and you're just looking to find out, someone else's experience. But really, I'm gonna try to target this more so if you're considering buying a car like this, what you should expect if the car is above my mileage, or below, or right at. Because you might be in high school, early college, and you're looking to get a Mustang. The V8 prices, I mean, all car prices have gone up, but this might be in your ballpark price range. It was for me when I got my car. So I'll kind of dive into why I actually never traded the V6 and why I still enjoy this car today. So my experience with this car has been definitely, I would say, pretty much a positive one, to make it short to summarize this video. Overall, it's pretty positive. There's a handful of things which I'll touch on, but I'm just going to go ahead and start off with basically how I still experience the car today. It just amazes me a couple of things. That one, when I first got the car, this is a 2016 year model, but I got the car at the end of 2015. And that's when the new S550 just kind of launched, and they were still kind of making them, and not everyone had really seen them yet in person. So I would get a lot of people that would stop me and compliment me on this car. And honestly, it hasn't really stopped. It has died down a little bit, but it still amazes me to this day that honestly, once every 2 weeks, somebody, whether it's a kid or an adult or somebody will pretty much come up to me and compliment me on the car. Obviously, I've done some aftermarket modifications to the car, the outward appearance, so maybe that's what grabs their attention still to this day. But it still, again, just amazes me that people still enjoy seeing this car on the road and will say nice things to me about it. Also, when people see this car, for some reason they feel the need to want to race me. Especially if not just me, but my wife, anytime she drives my car, she pretty much always comes back with saying someone tried to race me here or there, and I don't know what it is. I've had it happen a few times. Sometimes it's funny. Actually, I think this past Friday, I might even have a video of this, because I have dash cameras in my car. Some guys in some Alfa Romeo pulled up and wanted to race, and it's just kind of funny seeing that happen. So that happens to me a lot. I'm not sure if that's everyone, but just for me, that seems to happen quite often. And since we're talking about the exterior of the car, one thing that I am going to go ahead and discuss is just kind of how the paint itself is held up. Again, if you're looking at getting one of these cars with more mileage or around my mileage, or less, if you're able to find one with less miles, that'd be crazy. But go ahead and expect, there are going to be issues as far as paint chips and stuff like that. That's pretty much normal with any car, especially with a lot of highway miles. 60,000 miles, I definitely have the front end of my car, the front bumper definitely has taken some hits. I do wish that the paint was a little bit thicker. I don't know the average thickness of car paint. I know it's not extremely thick. So I know this is a really normal thing that you're gonna run into with any car that's actually being driven. But definitely expect your paint chips here and there. Probably the biggest paint issue that I have, and that other Mustang owners as well have had, the paint will start to bubble. Now, some cars it's been more severe than others. Mine is in a very small spot, I believe on the right corner of my hood, or on the passenger side of my hood. So that's definitely something to look out for, and if you own one of these cars, definitely go ahead and check out for that. If your car was still under warranty, which I feel like basically now that not exists, but Ford was taking care of that under warranty. However, by the time I discovered it, I was like four months out of warranty or something like that, something crazy. So ultimately it would have been my issue to fix, but they were basically giving you a brand new hood and respraying your hood for you. So they were taking care of the issue. I wish they would have, basically extended that coverage but they decided not to. So that is probably the biggest thing as far as exterior wise that I've noticed on the car that has deteriorated over time. Now when it comes to driving this car, and I actually am about to go on the Blue Ridge Parkway, I was kind of trying to do kind of a mix of some driving fun for you guys as well as I talk. I want to get the talking done before I actually get really on the parkway because I really want to just listen to the car. But as far as just power and just shifting, this does have the MT82 manual shifter. I do suggest if you're thinking about getting EcoBoost or a V6 or a V8, but especially the lower powered Mustangs, I really do suggest that this is the platform that you go for. Woo! Yeah, so that's something to notice right there. I was gonna get into this with the MT82. A lot of people, including myself, you just kind of saw it right there, have experienced lockout issues with the MT82. Mine don't happen that often. I will say it can be, and I understand why people find this a little infuriating. If you're trying to race, you know, on a drag strip or something like that, going from first to second, or really second to third, is what I've experienced the most. You will get some type of lockout. It's unfortunately normal. These transmissions aren't the best. I haven't really heard of them breaking too much, unless, like, you know, people are adding, you know, 900 horsepower somewhere. As soon as you get into higher horsepower ranges, which for these V6 Mustangs really isn't happening, that could be an issue. So the transmission, on a scale from 1 to 10, I'd probably give it, you know, a 5. There's definitely better out there. A lot of people have said that. So yeah, it's just one thing to know. I'm gonna just go ahead and brisk over the interior. I think if you've seen any of my other older videos, I've definitely talked about some of the few things that I've noticed. So for example, my armrest, I actually have an armrest cover on right now. That has started to crack a little bit. I think it's just from my arm. I mean, I'm sitting my arm like this now. That's kind of, I've seen that happen in different manufacturers. I wish it didn't happen in my car particularly, but it did. So it's no big deal also just to replace that. I've seen replacements for like $60, $80. So, and actually some of the replacements are actually nicer, so you can get suede, depending on how much you're willing to pay, but you can easily find a replacement for not too much money. Another thing I definitely have touched on is the buttons on my steering wheel. Again, I think it's probably just the oils on my fingers. And it seems like Ford has honestly not really fixed this issue. Looking at some of the like newer 2022 cars they're releasing and some of the Explorers and F-150s, it seems like the lettering and stuff like that just comes off. Mine isn't too terrible. I actually feel like more has not come off in about really probably 2 years. So I've had this car since, again, late 2015, so it's been a hot minute. But it seems like mine just kind of stops, so I'm not sure what's with that. I definitely don't want more to come off, but that's definitely something I could easily replace as well if I decided to. Another thing to note with the interior that really didn't bother me when I first got the car, but just as time has gone on and I've had the opportunity to drive different cars, pretty much the sync system in this car, this is the base sync system that you can get, and they don't even offer this anymore. But for the 2015 through, I believe, maybe 2018, maybe 2020 Mustangs, you're able to get this base sync system, and as well as in other Ford models like the Ford Focus, you name it. And I actually saw a couple of memes talking about how you'll basically yell to sync multiple times before she understands what you're saying. And yeah, it's kind of true. I'm not gonna lie, it sucks. If anything, I just end up saying, "Hey Siri," and she does the commands. I used to use the sync system a lot, but just as time has gone on and Apple CarPlay and Android Auto have become standard, I've realized how slow the system is. I wish they would update it, but again, for it being in the base cars, the base packages, it's kind of what you should expect. Ford's not going to put too much money and effort into it. I don't even think they've released any updates for this system. Maybe they have, so maybe I should go check that out. But overall, the sync system is pretty slow. All right, so moving on to the reliability of this car. Overall, it's definitely been a reliable car. As far as mechanical issues, the biggest and really only mechanical issue that I've had, and I kind of guessed that I'd have it. I was kind of hoping I was wrong, but the water pump actually went out on my Mustang. So again, this is the 3.7 liter V6 Mustang. That's really the only issue with this engine across multiple Ford platforms. At some point, I don't know why Ford has not fixed it. Again, this starting from 2011 is when Ford first put this engine in the Mustang. So I thought they would have, by the time my year came around, 2016, they would have figured this issue out, but they did not. So the water pump pretty much goes out eventually. You know, people have shown different signs. Mine, I just had fluid start to leak slowly, and eventually I think I went out and just spent $500 for someone to do it for me. I've been told actually, and I could actually see the water pump, so I feel like replacing this one wouldn't be too much of an issue. Some water pumps, depending on their location, is a little harder and it's a bigger hassle to take care of. But if you're considering getting this car or own this car, expect the water pump to probably have an issue. Again, it's not the biggest deal in the world, but it was something I had to take care of. So now that I've had this car for all these years, a lot of people may wonder why I kept on to this V6 Mustang. And to be honest with you guys, there's a couple of reasons. I think I've hit it in other videos. For one, the car is paid off, so that's a big one. And two, I really don't feel like I'm completely missing out on the Mustang experience. And I've tried explaining this in other videos, and I do believe some people understand what I'm saying, but I'm gonna go ahead and explain it one more time. What I mean by that is I have a manual transmission. My car sounds pretty good. I've gotten a lot of compliments on it, especially for a V6. I think this thing sounds pretty solid. But what I mean by that is, again, I feel like I'm getting the full Mustang experience. I'm faster than, I would say, most cars on the road, including especially as time has gone on and cars have gotten faster and more efficient. This V6 Mustang really isn't slow. So that's really why I've kind of held onto this car. Now, don't get me wrong, I feel like the V8 Mustang is the ultimate experience of having a Mustang in that style of ownership. You could even say the same thing if you're someone who has a GT Mustang with a 5.0 V8 compared to, you know, a Shelby. You know, you could say a Shelby is the ultimate experience of having a Mustang, and, you know, the V8 is good. But all that being said, I really do feel like I'm not missing out on any of the experience. Could I be faster? Could I be going faster? Yes. But again, I'm pretty content with where I'm at. I still get great gas mileage. If you're curious, this thing still gets me around 22, 23 around the city. A combined around 22. So that's really not bad. On the highway, even this past year, I was able to get 34 miles to the gallon, which is not terrible. I would even argue that's pretty great, especially as gas prices have gone up. So that's really some of the biggest reasons why I've held on to this car for so long. All right, guys, so we're now at the edge of the parkway. As you guys can tell by the roads, we're not even on the parkway. We're on some roads that are kind of near the parkway, but these are some of my favorite. You just really have some fun with the car. Do stuff like that. I'm probably not gonna talk too much, but honestly, this thing is still really a lot of fun to drive. Really love having the lighter nose. Tires have a decent amount of grip. Take off into. Woo! The way you can just come off in corners in this car is so fun. Back end just whips around with you. I'll say, for what it is, this car really is a lot of fun. Woo! Back end almost stepped out on me there. I will say one thing that I wish, and I probably could, you know, make some more suspension mods. I do wish that my car was a little bit more planted. I do feel a little bit floaty sometimes on roads like this, but it's not terrible. But compared to, like, you know, probably a Miata, I've driven a GTI on roads like this before. Those cars, you feel very much like you were in a go-kart. Compared to this, I kind of feel like, I guess you're riding a horse, if that makes any sense. So it is something to note. I think I'm about to catch up to somebody. With my luck, that's how this goes. I don't come out here too often, but when I do, I get to catch up to somebody. yeah, I'm gonna catch up with this Honda here. And honestly, a lot of this I could probably, love that downshift. I could probably sit in second gear. Woo! I love coming out of turns like that, man. Yeah, we're stuck behind this Honda, so. I also probably in the future will be replacing the brakes with something stronger. My brakes are still from when I first got the car. They feel fine, but basically towards the end of the brake life, I feel like I'm getting near that point. I'll probably look for something just a little bit more beefy. Maybe a different set of brake pads. Ooh, hit the rumble strips. Maybe a different set of brake pads or something like that, but just something to note here as we hit more of a straight part of this segment. Kind of launched the car right at $2 grand. Yeah, just spun. I didn't even let second gear all the way out, but that's yeah, that's fast. Fast enough for this road anyways. All right, slow it on up, cause woo, not gonna lie, I think that's probably the hottest I've ever gone into that turn. And keep in mind, the GoPro that I'm using is doing this on a wide angle, so yes. It might not look as dramatic as what it would be. Yep. Here's the fun part when you get to climb up the mountain. Whew. Oh, yeah. And again, I could just sit in second gear for most of this, but for the sake of me having a little more fun, going between second, third, and fourth is what I really enjoy doing the most here. Oh yeah. All right, guys, well, that is basically the end of the drive for me. As you guys can tell, I definitely still have a lot of fun with this car. Especially on roads like this, like again, like I said, or like I think I mentioned earlier in the video, there's definitely tons of power, tons of usable power is my biggest thing. That's why I love this thing still. It still gets lots of compliments. People want to race me, you name it. It's reliable, still good gas mileage. It still looks great. It's aged well. Yeah, there's a couple of things here and there that you know, have shown some little bit of wear and tear, but overall the car is still great. And that's really why I still have it. Even after 60,000 miles, I would still recommend this car to anyone. If you're looking at getting a cheap Mustang, your first Mustang, or a project car, whatever you want this car for, honestly, it's gonna be a pretty nice platform to do whatever you want to, or whatever build you wanna do to it. So with that being said, guys, that's gonna be it, and I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Hopefully, you know, I can keep making some more content for you guys, but if you enjoyed the video, go ahead and comment down below. You know, what you think. If you're, you know, if you have a Mustang, tell me what you guys, your experiences with this car, or maybe your other trim of a Mustang, EcoBoost, V8, or whatever. But other than that, guys, I'll catch you guys in the next video.